Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia, affecting brain function as it severs neuron connections, destroys neurons, and halts repair. Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia, affecting brain function as it severs neuron connections, destroys neurons, and halts repair. Memory loss, difficulty thinking, confusion, and delusion give way to the inability to recognize your surroundings, your thoughts, yourself, which gives way to the death of the mind and soul, and finally the body. It is random, relentless, entropy made manifest in your brain. But those that suffer from dementia don't have to suffer. Creative activity has been shown to reduce depression and isolation, offering the power of choice to those without. Towards the end of life, art is a creative avenue that offers a path to one's inner emotions. Art therapy sharpens the senses and clears the mind, allowing you to act yourself in times where yourself is a foggy concept. Many dementia patients make art of themselves or the world around them, grounding them in reality and serving as a reminder of themselves. Art clearly has an effect on dementia, but what effect does dementia have on art? At the age of 61, German artist William Utermohlen was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. From the moment of his diagnosis onward, he spent his life making portraits and writing reports on his descent into mental oblivion as a way to cope with his condition. Within a year of diagnosis, change was evident. His art often appeared as if he was wearing a mask, and colors were nigh entirely ditched, with the exception of being limited to the basest colors of red, yellow, and green. The first year, 1995 to 1996, still had mostly recognizable features, but that didn't last. After all, he would still paint for the next 5 years. 1997 to 1999 were his last years of being able to be truly called sentient. Abstract angles, misshapen features, and a disjointed profile point of view marked this uncanny era of portraits. His last painting to be recognizable as a face was made in 1999, titled Self-Portrait with a Red Shirt. His face is outlined in green, an unusual color to use as a contrast to his pink skin tone. A dour grimace beset his face, somewhere between the deepest trenches of thought and the highest clouds of emptiness. However, it is very recognizable as a face compared to some earlier portraits. Sadly, this was a portent of the end. Many dementia patients experience a boost in lucidity and function right before the final decline. This shows in his last portrait of 1999, titled William Utermohlen Erased Portrait. An unfinished green background lingers behind his distorted face. Devoid of facial features except for what appears to be an ear, this was the last time William would touch paint. From that point onward, William only made 3 portraits, titled Head, Head with Coffee Stain, and Erased Head, a set of 3 pencil sketches. Head features a misshapen head with 2 piercing dots for eyes and a line running down the face. Head with Coffee Stain breaks his face down to the building blocks of art, lines placing the vertical center of his face in the position of the eyes. A splotch of brown sits like a bow on his head, outlined in pen. Erased Head, William's final piece, looks more spider than person. Many spots form eyes, filling the swelling hook that is his face. The art is partly erased, his final piece, the last memory of his life's work, almost destroyed. A flawed design, too abstract to be real and too real to be abstract, much like the world and mind of William Utermohlen. Impending doom, unstoppable as a mad bull and shadowy as the darkest night. What do you do when there's nothing you can do? Do you try to leave a legacy? Do you spend your dying days clutching at a dragon's hoard of memories? Or do you accept your fate with grace? 150,000 people face this dilemma every day, and everyone must one day face it. It has been this way forever, and nothing will change that. None of us will be here forever, and that's a difficult truth to swallow. There is a belief that your life needs to have an impact to matter, and that you had to change the world to have lived a good life. People live their whole life anticipating death, living with the goal of dying. The religious seek life after death. The paranoid seek to avoid it. There is no way to truly know what lies after death, only in life. There is only really one way to combat death, to accept it, with open arms, with the knowledge that you mattered. This isn't to say you should be quick to throw your life away. Life is beautiful. Everyone grieves. Whether you're grieving for lost friends or family, or the end of a relationship, or even grieving over something small, something insignificant. Grief tears through the soul, leaving a painful wound in its wake. But just like a muscle fuses and becomes stronger than before, scars heal. Shock, anguish, loss, anger, guilt, regret, anxiety, fear, loneliness, unhappiness, depression, intrusive images, depersonalization, and the feeling of being overwhelmed are but a few of the sentient states grieving individuals often describe. That was a quote from the National Center for Biotechnology Information. Letting go and healing is not a fast or an easy process. Macro grieving happens when we lose someone. It happens when there is a final goodbye. It happens when the loss is deep and permanent. In order to die with life, you have to live with death. What never began can never end. We are part of the whole just as much as the whole is a part of us. Difference and separation is an illusion. Find a balance between the opposite inside of you. It will be reflected outside of you and promote harmony in the universe. Ultimately, the most difficult part of accepting death is to let go of yourself.